All right. I think we're live everywhere, folks. I think we're live on X, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and on the space, and everywhere. But as always, I don't trust Uncle Elon. He's too busy with government that this will all work everywhere. So I will just say, hey everyone, welcome to ThursdAI. My name is Alex Volkov. I'm an AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. With me, I have a few friends, one of whom you may haven't seen for a while. So welcome back, Safrir. What's up? We're gonna say hi in a second. We have Yam and Wolfram, and I think that we will miss Nistan this time. Looks like some client work. He's gonna be missed, and maybe LDJ will join us in a moment. But meanwhile, it looks like we're live on video. So I posted a poll for you guys, and I actually would love for you to answer this poll. I'm gonna pin this to the top of the space for folks who are on the space. I will also say right here, let's see, who else do I need on the space? Wolfram, I need you on the space. Right to speak. Yes. I will also say, so I added the poll. Please answer if you prefer us in video form only, space only, or both. And yeah, as one of the hosts before asked, I'm also coming through to the video space as well. I don't know if you folks see this as well. On the space, there's like a little video. The problem there is, I don't know how to like show my screen through this little thingy, except doing this, which is going to be very annoying because I have to hold my phone. But that's all right. We will prevail. We will prevail. So welcome everyone to ThursdAI. Today's November 14th, and I would love to say hello to my hosts. Because we're doing this combined format, you may not hear the hosts. The folks who are listening to the space will not hear the hosts like through the space. You'll hear them through my microphone. Hopefully this will work. And please, folks in the comments, let us know if this works. Oh, I'm getting no sound, Alex. No sound. I'm getting no sound from folks. Ooh, lovely. Okay, so we're gonna handle this. Lincoln says there's no sound on the space because I was muted. Huh? Of course. Okay. Welcome everyone who's on the space to ThursdAI. You guys heard me. You guys saw me speak, but didn't hear me because I was muted. Sound check, mic 2. Lincoln, Just Dea, Brad. Welcome everyone. If folks on space can hear me, please do an emoji. Let's say a wave emoji, or like a clap emoji or something like this. I want to see some emojis. I see LinkedIn, I see Sean, I see Junaid, I see Zach. Welcome, folks. Yeah, LinkedIn, I'm getting a thumbs up. I'm going to have to restart this whole... Yeah, okay. I'm getting emojis. All right, cool. Welcome, folks. Thursday... Forgot to unmute. Fuck. Welcome, folks. ThursdAI. There's too many platforms involved, but it's okay. This is... we're just getting started. So I'll just I'll restart. Today is November 14th. This is ThursdAI. Alex Volkov, AI evangelist with Weights and Biases. We're doing this combined stream both on X with video, which is kind of weird, but also on everywhere that you can see us as well. So there's the 4 of us in like nice squares on X video, if you prefer that format for yourself as well. Some folks are even going as far as seeing us, listening us in the space, but seeing us muted on the video, which is kind of interesting. We're also on YouTube, if you prefer that, and LinkedIn. There's exactly 3 people on LinkedIn, all of them probably executives in some company. So welcome everyone. We have exciting things to talk about today. Hopefully some guests. Nistan looks like will not be joining us. And yeah, okay. So I think it's time for us to get started. And by started, I mean welcome, folks. So who should I say hi to first? What's up, Safrir? It's been a while since you joined us. Maybe introduce yourself to some folks. And one last thing for folks in the spaces, I said this and I'll say this again. You will not hear the little speaky thing, but the folks who are here on stage are going, their sound's going to come through my little, talky thing. So go ahead, Safrir. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, very good to be back on ThursdAI, this time on video.
Yep.
Congratulations on the upgrade. And yeah, I was on ThursdAI until last year when other things in my life took me a little bit off the stay up to date with AI momentum. And it's very much the time for me to get back on full momentum. I've been working on all sorts of generative AI applications in this time. The most exciting of which was a real-time podcast generator, which was completely made obsolete by Notebook LM with the superior audio quality and cost of $0 per minute, which made my business ideas a little bit time to reconsider. And that's mostly what I'm doing now, reconsidering, looking for opportunities, staying up to date, doing small projects to help people around, and being on ThursdAI.
Awesome. Welcome back, man. Notebook LM is indeed quite the thing, and we had the folks on stage here. It was awesome and incredible to see their success. But yeah, sorry to hear. At least we're in the right direction. And also welcome back, Yam Peleg. What's up, man? Let's get you off mute.
Hey, how are you doing? Yep.
Good, man. So maybe an intro to folks from your end.
Big week,
folks.
big week this week.
Big week, absolutely. Well, we're still waiting for OpenAI. Yeah, please intro.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Doing AI for quite some time, machine learning for quite longer, you could say. Doing this for quite a couple of years. Had some open source work. Still working on open source. Didn't release something in a long time, but still working on open source and so on ThursdAI for more than a year, I think.
Absolutely, dude. We've been running at this for a long time. And Yam is what I like to consider a resident data scientist, machine learning engineer extraordinaire, and so very helpful in when I don't understand topics. You're the first person who I ask about different topics, so I'm very thankful that you're here, man. And Wolfram, welcome, man. So brief introduction from you, and then let's get going because we have breaking news.
Hi, I'm a German AI engineer and I am a part-time consultant, and my research is mostly evaluations of models, which I'm pretty known for on Reddit, for example. And yeah, I'm contributor to a couple of open source projects.
Amazing. So this is the ThursdAI co-host for you folks. Folks who are listening to us or viewing us, it would greatly help if you help kind of the algorithm boost us a little bit. I think we're confusing it with like multiple streams and stuff. If you're listening on the space, if you go to the bottom right, there's like a little bit of a there's a little bubble there. It says 6 comments. I think there's less than 6. And you boost the actual stream by either a like or a retweet, and then you say something nice. If you're in the chat and watching us on video, just like boost the chat as well. It really helps other people find this. I see one comment that says, I have to say this was difficult to find. Glad to be here again. And folks can hear us. So that's awesome. So folks are saying, hey, this is great. And I think it's time for us to kind of dive into the TLDR. For folks who are not familiar, the way ThursdAI is structured, sometimes we have guests. So next week we're going to have awesome guests. This week, however, we're guestless, so maybe we'll go for less time. We'll see. Maybe there's going to be breaking news and we'll be here talking for 2 hours about them. But we usually start with a quick TLDR of just like everything. So folks who don't have the 2 hours to spend with us, they will know if there's anything interesting. They get up to date super quick, and then we're gonna continue and like dive into the topics of discussion. And before we get started, I want to shout out a few folks on the Twitter Spaces in the comments. You guys can see a little Groot, multicolor Groot icon, Lincoln, President Lin, a dear member of the community of ThursdAI community, follows the news closer than I must say. So sometimes I'm taking it easy, and I know that I can trust that Lincoln is going to cover the stuff. So definitely give Lincoln a follow. He has an incredible thread of AI news. Not only that, we actually have a community, like an actual like. There's a concept in X called communities, and we have a community. It's like 1,500 strong or something. So you're more than welcome to join. We're gonna post some stuff there as well. We tried a community space last time. It didn't go so well, so we're not gonna necessarily go for that as well. But hey, we have almost 400 people watching, and then almost 50 people listening. So I think it's time for the TLDR, folks. Let's go. Let's do the thing. All right, here it is. Here's the TLDR. Here's everything that we're going to cover on ThursdAI for November 14th. And this time, I'm actually going to show you what we're talking about. Let's go. Let's go. All right, take a look. So, we're going to start, obviously, with the biggest open source news of this week from our dear friends who I invited, and for some reason, they're probably taking a good rest this week. But dear friends of ours from Alibaba Qwen has released what some called Sonnet at Home. They released Qwen Coder 2.5, and they took state-of-the-art in basically coding. This is a series of coding models from 32 billion parameters, I believe, all the way to 1.5. And those are state-of-the-art open source coding models that beat even bigger models like 3.5 Sonnet and GPT-4o, while being able to run on your machine. Those are quite incredible. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about there, including their artifacts model. So we're going to chat a lot about those. I believe that some folks here tried them and got excited and been testing them as well. And I've been playing around with those as well. There's a whole conversation happening, including a paper called potentially the end of quantization. So we may dive into this. There's a new paper that shows we're reaching the limits of quantization. There's a conversation from Team Detmers, the person behind QLoRa, and we're going to maybe converse and chat about that. And also in the area of open source LLMs, there's also a new benchmark called Frontier Math for advanced math reasoning. I think there's also a new data set that I wanted to mention as well. I don't have the notes here, but there's also a new data set that we would like to mention as well. Here. Anything else in open source that I missed, Wolfram? I think we had one more or so thing. And Yam, I think you also mentioned that we just got some breaking news in open source LLMs.
Oh yeah. We got a new model from... Wolfram, go ahead. I'll just...
Just meant the dataset is probably the largest multilingual open pre-training dataset with over 2 trillion tokens.
Oh.
So that is the big dataset release.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely cover this.
And
once you find
voice
the
and
links.
audio, I had for voice and audio, Ichigo version 0.4 has been released.
Yeah, we'll get to voice and audio. I just want to finish up in open source LLMs. And Yam, I think you mentioned one more that just dropped as breaking news.
We got Nexus Flow released Athena V2, an open model suite comparable to GPT-4o across benchmarks.
Okay, so and then we're gonna dive into
putting it out there. Extremely powerful models in the past coming from Nexus Flow, so it is a big thing.
So this is in open source LLMs, and I think that this is quite enough for us to get kind of started with. Then I think that this is like open source LLMs. Then, as usual, we jump into big companies, LLMs, and API kind of area. And in this, I already put News, our friends from News, in this area because we talk about big companies, but also we talk about APIs. So News finally released the APIs for News Forge, which is like for reasoning APIs. If you guys remember, we had Karan and Shannon Sands, aka Max Paperclips, here on stage talking about News Forge. They have finally released API to beta folks, and so we will chat about what they have released. I have access. I didn't actually have time to try this, but we can go and kind of look at the benchmarks. The claims that they are posing, the folks in News are like very serious folks. The claims they're posing are quite incredible, including beating 01 on AI.me, which is math, which is quite incredible. In the bigger company news, Greg Brockman is back in OpenAI, and we can chat about this. Then we can briefly mention some stuff from Google AI Studio. And I think the meat of the conversation that we're going to have is this Reuters report that AI is hitting a wall and it's becoming a meme now. Which wall and what is a wall? And then Sam Altman just joined this debate as well. And I would love for all of us to like take a crack at discussing this is there a wall thing today, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting. There's also a quick thing about Cursor acquiring Super Maven and two forces in coding area kind of combining into one. Then in this week's Buzz, a category where I talk about everything weights and biases related, I want to briefly tease an upcoming evals course and mention that Weave, the product that I keep talking about, is about to hit GA. And that's very interesting. Yeah, we're not GA yet. We're about to, and this is like a very first teaser here. And also on the way to GA, Weave JavaScript and TypeScript is finally here. So I would love to show you guys how this looks super quick. And now because I have video, I would be able to actually do this for a few minutes as well. In the vision and video category, I have nothing. I have no news this week. It's been an insane pace of vision and video models, etc. And I think everything's dying down, and hopefully everything dies down before Sora. But I see LDJ join us. LDJ, welcome, and you have your hand. What's up, man? Do we have vision and video stuff?
Yeah, well, you just mentioned it, but I was just gonna say that apparently Sora might release soon. So
what?
Not today.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Like we heard rumors about the next 2 weeks.
I remember chatting with Will Depew, and I understood that Sora may not come this year, but elections over, and supposedly Sora and elections and something. Okay, so but this is not in TLDR. We don't know nothing. So far, nothing to report in vision and video this week. In the voice and audio category, one thing that I wanted to chat about is Ultravox from Fixie. I also wanted to show some examples. I may need some friends here to help me with examples, just the way the others set it up. Ultravox is a set of model training techniques which you can plug onto different models in open source. So it is in open weights that allows you to chat with models in a latency that's comparable to real-time API from OpenAI. And there's no ASR step there. There's no automatic speech recognition. Those look super cool. I chatted with this yesterday. I even posted a video. We will try them live. Wolfram, I'm going to trust you to do the demo like we did last time. And it's going to be awesome. And hopefully, I think it's Zach from Fixie. I saw him here. Zach, I see you in the audience. We're going to try live, and then we'll see if this works for us. And then Suno released a V4, and it's really dope. It's really dope, folks. And hopefully we'll play a song or two with Suno. Maybe we'll prepare a song with Suno. I actually created a jingle for our folks at Quen, and unfortunately, I don't know if I can play this. Will you guys be able to hear or not? But we'll figure this out. Same with AI art and diffusion. Nothing. Super quiet. I haven't seen any Sora from there. I haven't seen any like breaking news from AI art and diffusion. And so I think that the things that, if we have time, I would like to cover basically is the Tilde research group from Interpretability. This looks very interesting. And then also this decentralized network for trustless AI verification called Mira Network. Those are the two things that I got tagged in, and those could be interesting by way of, expanding our horizons a little bit, if you will. We talk about very specific things. In ThursdAI, we started with only LLMs and open source, and we kind of expanded into vision and video, and now we have this 2-hour show that many people like survive maybe like to 40 minutes of it, maybe an hour. But yeah, because we don't have a guest necessarily this show, maybe we'll expand our horizons. The Tilde thing is very, very interesting. The tools category, that next week we're going to chat with Bolt and maybe some other folks, and briefly mention the AlphaFold 3 code and weights were released as well. I think that this is it. Anything else, folks, on stage that I absolutely missed and very important? Anything else, folks that are listening to this on stream, please give us a comment. Anything else that we missed? Anything else is anything else that's breaking, please let me know. Otherwise, this is the TLDR, and we're going to get started.
Well, I have the Ichigo version 0.4.
Yes, Ichigo, yes.
That is a voice and audio thing, but it's overshadowed, of course, with the Ultravox release, which, it's Sota. It's my opinion.
Yeah,
so Ichigo is
like
nice,
Sota, right?
But the other one is the big news. And there was something about the clip model. What was it? I have to look for it. Something about clip and LLM to clip. That is about making pre-trained clip models more Sota, say they, through that thing. It's from Microsoft, LLM2 clip, but I haven't looked into it much further, but it could be interesting as well.
So look it up and drop it in the internal chat, and then if we're gonna get there, and I think it's time for us to start with our favorite corner, which is, of course, open source. Where's my open source? Need a transition here. Open source AI, let's get it started. Let's get it started. Folks, open source this week. And you know what? We often have our friends from Quen Alibaba on stage here. So shout out Jinyang Lin and Bayuan and other folks from Quen. And we can celebrate them without them being here necessarily. They deserve a break because this week we got, and we don't often get this, but we got open source beating frontier models in coding, and it's been remarkable. And I want to just do. Hopefully, it's not going to be too loud. No, this one. I think they deserve it. So we're talking about Quen Coder 2.5. They released a series of 5, I think 6 models. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 models, ranging from 30 billion parameters all the way down to 0.5 million parameters. I think they deserve us to actually show their work. Don't you guys think? Let me super quick open this up and share a screen. And I want to hear reactions, folks. I know that we've posted about this. I know we've looked at this. I want to hear reactions. Have you guys play with it? I know that we have at least one person who's missing here who's all about this, but we're missing Nistan. But I know that other folks also play with it. Wolfram, I think you have something to say about this.
Yeah, I set it up, and the great thing is that you have all the different sizes. So you can do some speculative decoding stuff with it if you take the big version and a smaller one, 3B is which I was using. So you get good performance, and it is really powerful. I have to say that. I wouldn't call it a local sonnet, not from my point, because I have also been using it for non-coding stuff. Of course, sonnet can do everything. So, but that wasn't the focus of this model. So for coding, it's Zota, hands down. I would recommend it to everyone, and I'm doing more tests with it. But yeah, definitely a very important open source release. I wouldn't call it a local sonnet yet, but it's definitely the best we have locally for coding.
Yeah. So the local sonnet, I think, comes from the fact that just on benchmarks, Quen 2.5 coder 32 billion instruct, which is a handful of things to say. I think it's a mouthful of things to say. On human eval, beats Sonnet 3.5, the last one, not this one. So the right? Oh no, this one, this kind of the what we call 3.6, the last sonnet. It's so confusing, the sonnet thing. So 92.7 on human eval, which is incredible, and Sonnet gets 92.1. On eval plus, it gets 86 versus Sonnet 85. I think it's incredible. It looks like they're beating 3.5 Sonnet on every benchmark that they posted. Now, there's obviously other benchmarks, but the interesting benchmark that we know of, like Live Code Bench, for example, and Live Code Bench, Big Code Bench, Aider is one that we're looking at often. So Aider, for folks who don't know, is this kind of like Aider.chat. This is a pair programming terminal type thingy. And the coolest things that came from this project is Paul Gontier, I think is specifically the name. He keeps posting, he has 2 benchmarks for code editing and code like in place modification. And so it's not necessarily code writing, it's code editing. And this seems to have solidified in kind of the LLM leaderboards for this. And I don't see Quen. Oh, yeah. So Quen on his chart is not necessarily beating Sonnet. So it looks like you're kind of like pretty much where you are, Wolfram, right? So Quen 2.5 coder is getting 73.7% on completed correctly on the Aider leaderboard. And it beats DeepSeek coder, beats GPT-4o, and is only behind Sonnet and O1 Preview and Haiku, which is still quite incredible for a 32 billion parameter model, which you can run locally, right? It fits on a 62 gigabyte Mac, which definitely should fit. So that's quite incredible. Any LDJ, do you have a chance to run Quen, look at it? What are your take on us getting to this level?
No, I haven't had a chance to, but it sounds good from what I've heard.
Yeah. So obviously DeepSeek is one of the folks in this area who are, doing the incredible things. We haven't heard from DeepSeek in a minute. I want to hear from folks. Folks are saying we're installing Quen now, and let's see what our other folks are giving us some comments about this. The thing that I found very interesting about Quen, first of all, the releases are very powerful. They release a lot of stuff. I not to mention the graphic that I love. They compare it to, I don't think they compare it to the previous Quen coder at all, but they compare it to CodeStroll from Mixtral, which is kind of very interesting to see that it's the lowest on this chart of comparisons. They compare it to DeepSeek Coder V2 and GPT-4o, and yeah, GPT-4o here is a very interesting one. It's kind of like the one behind the green one. What else can we say about Coder? Okay, the one thing that I loved is they showed examples of, besides the chart, which is like super cool, they showed examples of code generation, but also code repair. Code repair is kind of a skill that they have to teach the coding model to do in-place replacement of code. And so they actually have specific tokens. I took a mention of this. Let me go find super quick. They have a way, they have new tokens like fill in the middle prefix, fill in the middle different things. So they have specific tokens that allow this model to kind of like do code repairing after you provided like a section of code versus necessarily just, hey, write this thing from scratch, which allows us to perform very good on this ADER code repair benchmark. 73.7. So very comparably to GPT-4o. I think that's incredible, folks. I think I'm just talking about numbers here, but I need some more excitement from the panel here, because like I'm talking about a 30 billion parameter model, a file that I can go to LM Studio right now and just download. I haven't, but I can just download. Yeah, I have a bunch of this here, and then I'll get GPT-4o level at home, and I think it's incredible. Oh, it's right here. It's already right here. It's obviously a very popular one. It weighs, how much does it weigh? 18 gigabytes in Q4. Just 18 gigabytes, and you get GPT-4o level coding. And the thing is, with LM Studio, you can plug this into Cursor, which is an example that they showed. Let me scroll down. The folks at Quen had an example here, so I'm going to show this on. I'm going to show this here on the stream. They had an example. Hopefully, you guys can see this. Let me see if I can show you guys here as well. Yoink. So they're building Conway's game of life, and they plugged in. You see, Quen. Oh, sorry, they're moving too fast. They're plugged in Quen coder in Cursor, and it looks fairly quick. And they said, hey, we don't like our models to just release on benchmarks. We actually want to use them. And I think that one of the folks in our group chat as well, Wolfram, remind me if I'm mistaken, but I think one of the folks also asked, like, hey, can I use this in Cursor? And this is the thing that they released. And it looks like it's working like immediately.
Yeah, Cursor has an OpenAI endpoint, and if it's a supported API, it should work. It didn't work for me when I tried that, unfortunately, so I have to look in my endpoint. I was using Tabby API for Excel 2 quantization, which is great. The size of the model is amazing because the 32B, it fits in, like you just showed, it fits in one 3090, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I was running the 8-bit together with the draft model for the speculative decoding, both on my 48 gigabyte of VRAM. and I could run it unquantized, the small model, and the big one at 8 bits. So I got a lot of value out of that.
So
Great
could
quality.
you talk about the quantization part and with the speculative model? That would, I think, would be helpful to folks who may not know necessarily what you're talking about. Could you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's a way how you can speed up inference, how fast the model generates new tokens, by having a smaller model that does the calculations first and then output those, and you check if they fit if the big model would have really created the same. So I don't know the exact technical specifications, but if you have a small model, you can use it and you get a bigger speed up, which works best for coding, because if you have creative models, so you have a high temperature, then the issue is that the small model is probably generating different tokens. But for coding, you usually have one correct answer. In most cases, you want that. And so the small model is a way to speed it up. And that requires a smaller model, which is great because they have the smaller sizes of this as well. You have the 32B, but you can run a smaller one in addition to it, and you get a much faster speed. And the quality does not decrease, because if the small model prediction isn't proper, it takes the one from the big model.
So is that something that they support, or is that something that generally coding models support, or this is something that the folks release together with their release?
It's a part of the inference software, so the inference software has to support it, but you need the proper models, and it's the best. It works the best if you have the same model in different sizes.
Mm-hmm. So they released a 0.5 billion parameters, 1.5, so you definitely can run both of them super quick. Yam, you're back with us. I want to hear from you about kind of the Quen release and what they did, and then we can show the artifacts thing. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it's super, super cool. Is Yam back, or looks like Yam is not back? Okay. So the other thing that they released with this, so besides being able to run this via cursor and showing us an example of how Quen 2.5 coder runs via cursor and is like a state-of-the-art model as well, they also released a web UI that's similar to the artifacts that they have with Claude, that we all have with Claude. And it looks super cool. I just wanted to live demo this together with you guys. I'm going to do it I'm going to try to do this with you guys here on X as well. But hopefully we'll load this super quick. Open Web UI. If this doesn't load super quick, then we're going to go to Hugging Face. Yeah, I don't know what this is. I think there was a Hugging Face one, artifacts. Let me see.
Yeah, it's under Hugging Face.
Yeah, I have a link here. Definitely have a link. Give me a second, folks. Quen artifacts, yes. So if you guys know that Claude and you use it, you know that you can ask Claude to build something, and then it will open like a panel and it'll start coding with React and it'll start building things. So they released a Hugging Face demo with Gradio interface. You can do the same thing. You can basically say, help me design interface with a purple button that says Quen start. When the button is clicked, display countdown from 5. Let's use one of their examples. Let's just click on this example and hit send. So I'm showing this live on the stream. Let me show this live here in X as well. I just hit send on their example, and you can see that it starts writing code here in HTML, and it's done. And then we hit the button, and it worked. It's not the most like nice UI in the world, but hey, it worked. It worked super quick. Let's clear history. Let's try something else entirely. So basically, they just built the Quen coder, and they built like an interactive demo that asks it to probably do it in HTML and JavaScript. Let's do to-do list. A very simple app. I want a to-do list that allows me to add tasks, delete tasks. I would like overall color theme to be purple. I don't know what they have with purple. I hit send. They open like a little panel. They start writing HTML code fairly quickly, I would say. This looks like, I don't know, 20 tokens per second. Right now it writes CSS code, which is a good thing to know that the model can do it. Sometimes even very apt developers can do it. And we have a to-do list, like super quick. Hey. And then, yeah, we have a to-do list, deletes, speak about, I can do, look at this. Talk about open source AI. Task, yeah, to-do list. So here we go. They released their own version of artifacts. Is it as useful? Likely not. I know that Claude Sonnet, for example, is incredible at React components, so it's building actual components. This feels like, let's view the code. This feels like very, very basic. Like this is like vanilla JavaScript with vanilla CSS. Obviously, component-wise, that's not gonna get you that far. But hey, this is still super cool and very capable, and it worked from the first time. You guys remember, we used to get excited by coding models, and nothing used to work for the first time. You needed to keep asking, and this worked for the first time. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking about how when the artifact feature first came out for Claude, I was wondering why did they have to redo the entire code every time you ask it to like make a small change or something?
Yeah.
And I guess that for whatever reason they decided to not have like fill in the middle features for the model like fixing the code. But it seems like with this, you can actually reiterate much faster than the artifacts feature with Anthropic Claude probably, because since it could do fill in the middle, it doesn't have to rewrite the entire thing each time.
Do you think that Claude cannot do fill in the middle?
Yeah,
chooses
it's kind
not
of a mystery. Yeah, go ahead.
I think someone leaked. I'm not sure if it was Claude's or someone else's system prompt, and they have it really embedded in there. Write the entire file again and again every time. So it's some sort of result, scientific result, that rewriting the whole code makes much better result than trying to replace in the middle. And I think that's the best direction going forward, because when you do iterations in artifacts also on the new Qwen model, it's a lot of time for every iteration. And on Claude, it's even worse because it's really easy to get too long outputs that it just fails to render. And you wait the whole time, you don't get the artifact at the end. That's a great direction to advance.
Yeah. So I think that we've covered Qwen with 5. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Fill in the middle, the model doesn't choose where to fill in the middle. Mostly you tell it, I would like you to fill here, and then the model fills in the middle. So it's not exactly like the model can choose to fill in the middle where it wants as iterations. But I do think that the best approach is like Cursor, like the way Cursor do it, which when they actually replace lines with it's a sophisticated prompt flow the way they do it in Cursor. But I think this is the best course of action in general. But overall, guys, this is 32 billion parameters.
32 billion parameters. It's
Like,
insane.
Comparing to Claude, yeah, I know. Comparing to Claude is interesting, but guys, this is 32 billion parameters. Like, come on. I mean, this is amazing. Seriously.
I think we're not giving this enough excitement here. I think that this is like, first of all, we know these people. Jungyang is a frequent co-host on ThursdAI, folks. 32 billion parameters. This is a 22 gigabyte file that you can download and put on a thumb drive. I don't know what you will do with a thumb drive.
You run it on a MacBook. You run it on a MacBook, man. You run it on a MacBook. It's amazing. Seriously.
Yeah.
Very impressive. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is insane. Insane how fast we go. And like, we're going to talk about a wall soon. And I think that like what wall we're talking about, once you can run this literally on MacBooks or Mac Minis that just came out, it's absolutely insane. So shout out, a huge shout out to the folks.
Speaking of. Okay, if you just want, how is it so powerful? Like we didn't even talk about this. Like, what exactly did they do? First, I want to talk about the wall. So they trained for a tons of tokens. Seriously. This is probably the most trained open source model ever to date at the moment. They trained for 5.5 trillion tokens of code. However, they started from a base that is already trained, that was already trained. So it's like, if you just take the overall amount of tokens that the model went through, it's 23 point something trillion tokens, which is probably is the most that we heard about to this moment. Shout out for, we are asking ourselves, how is it so good? Well, we actually don't need to ask ourselves. They just told us. They released the paper, which today is a big thing. So you just know in the paper, you can just read the paper. Just a little bit of highlights. They started pre-training with 8,000 context length, file level, code base file level, then went repository level in the second phase of 32K. And then at the end, they went instruct and DPO. But so interesting to see that they have multiple stages of pre-training as well, which is interesting. Also, they did a lot of synthetic data generation, multilingual data generation, multilingual coding, coding languages, lingual generation. And they also went with a sophisticated checklist-based for scoring and filtering the data. You don't just go for educational content, you go for multiple criteria to filter out high quality data for pre-training. And everything, all of the details are in the paper, but it's amazing work, and you should read it if you are into training models like this. Waiting for Quen 72B, hopefully soon. Thank you very much.
This is only 32, man.
Always leading.
Yeah. It's incredible. This is only 32, and then 72 is gonna come. And what wall? What the fuck are they talking about? Sorry. Okay. I think we've said all we can say, besides the fact that we are very, very appreciative of the Quen team, not only releasing these incredible models, but also being like fairly open. Not only that, we haven't talked about the license. Most of these models are Apache 2 license, besides one. For some reason the middle one. For some reason, I think this is the 3 billion one is the Quen license. It's still like fairly permissive, but everything else is Apache 2. Everything else is like fully use this to whatever purpose you want, keep doing whatever, merge, like fine tune, whatever. And that's just absolutely incredible. So huge shout out to the Quen team for all of this like incredible work. We really, really appreciate it. And not every day we get soda. And
I have to thank them from all of Europe, because it's available here and usable here, which is not as common anymore. So huge shout out and big thanks. It's a great model. It's one of the most important open source releases we ever had. You have to say that.
Apache 2, yeah. It's not only open weights, it's like literally just like pretty much everything. Besides, you know, they didn't release the dataset, but we cannot hold them for that. They have to keep going as well. So huge. All of Europe is very, very happy as well. For this, I have a little jingle. I think it's gonna be silly, but we like some silliness. Wolfram, if you will, could you do me a favor and go into this link and share your screen with audio? Would that be cool? 1 second, folks. We're gonna try something that we tried before. So one of the things that I want to mention afterwards is that we also have a new version of AI audio, and we're just gonna try a little bit. But I wanted to celebrate the state of the art thing with Quen, and what better way to celebrate than with another AI celebrating this AI. So I wrote them a little bit of a jingle for the show, for a transition. Every time we're gonna get soda, I wanted this, at least some of this, to be a transition. I just didn't fully pack this in the show, so let's try playing this.
Can you hear?
SOTAO, so bright.
This is Suno V4. They just released this AI music generation, and this is with love to the Quen team. Thank you for soda for open source.
Echoes in the depth of night.
Echoes in the Twitter ecosphere and
So
the ThursdAI.
tired, so to hear the sound.
Yes, I know it's cheesy, folks. I know.
State of the art, world renowned.
All right, I think we can like
Let it
fade out here
echo,
smoothly.
let it flow. So time magic, here we go.
This is our transition. Every time we're gonna get a soda, we're gonna have a jingle specific for state of the art. All right, Wolfram, we're gonna ask you to, thank you for fade out. So, folks, we have a state of the art open source from Quen Alibaba. We have a coder that's very, very, very powerful. You can run this at home 22 gigabytes of a file, and then you can do incredible things. Shout out to the team, as we said, and one of the, as Yam said, one of the like largest pre-trained coder files or whatever models at home. We also have some breaking news. Let's look at this super quick. Other things locally that we want to talk about, we can chat about them. But we also have some sort of breaking news. So let's hit this breaking news button, and then let's talk about Nexus Flow, because that's also very, very interesting. And we're gonna react live, something that you guys often like to see us do. AI breaking news coming at you only on ThursdAI. So thanks to Yam for bringing this breaking news, and some folks already commenting on this breaking news as well. We're going to show and talk about Nexus Flow. Nexus Flow X just introduced Athene version 2, open model suite comparable to GPT-4o across benchmarks, which is kind of what we saw from the coder thing on the coder benchmarks. And then they mentioned the thing that we're going to talk about with the scaling low plateau and etc. So let's take a look at what we have here. Bear in mind, folks, right now, what we're talking about right now is a tweet from a company that we kind of generally know and know the good stuff are coming from. We're reacting in real time. So unlike the Quen stuff that we know the team, we also had time to play with this model. This is like a live reaction. Take it with this much of a grain of salt. So what we got is two specialized models. They claim that the future of LLMs lies in targeted post-training to enhance and tailor model capabilities. Athene V2 is designed to address offering two specialized models: V2 Chat, competing with GPT-4o across multiple benchmarks, and V2 Agent, specialized agent model surpassing in function calling and agent applications. All right, let's take a look, folks. Oh, each model has undergone targeting post-training from Quen 2.5.
Yeah.
What? That we just, but not coder. So from the Quen 2.5, the previous models, those the 72B.
Yeah.
So this is a fine tune of 72B. Essentially, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. I think so. I'm not sure if of the instruct version or the base model. We see it for the first time, just like you guys. Yeah.
Reacting in real time for sure here. So now let's take a look.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it is an instruct, or at least not a base model, because it has a chat and an agent variant.
Yeah.
So let's open the. How should I? Let me take this and then post it here, guys. Sorry, 1 second. Just making sure that I have all my tools here to open this in a. Come on.
This is nice. The agent is smart. I mean, we never had this. A model specially trained for agentic flow is a big thing.
Yeah, so let's look at the Athene V2 agent. Agent open source LLM surpasses state-of-the-art in function calling agenting capabilities. Let's look at what they tested this on. The graph is a little like funky, but they're
Arena hard. Yes. They are passing GPT-4o on Arena hard, bro. This is huge.
Okay, Arena hard is definitely a.
Yeah.
That's quite a statement. So let's actually tell folks who are listening, because they can see us. Arena hard. Let me actually try to show as well. Arena hard. Yeah, you wanna give 3 words on what Arena hard is and what kind of difficulty we're looking at?
Yeah, sure. Basically, there are 2 types of benchmarks in general. The first type is very easy to measure, is factual knowledge. Usually you're measuring it with multiple choice questions, and you just give the model questions and the model answers, and you just literally just count the amount of questions the model got right. That's one type of benchmark. However, you can be a really smart model on this type of benchmark, and yet it doesn't feel right. So the other type of benchmarks is benchmarks that are in general for instruction following. There you have benchmarks that are judged by an LLM, like LLM is a judge. And the other type of benchmarks is, LLM as a judge is basically you give the same question to 2 models, both of them answers, and then you have a third model looking at the answers and telling which one is better. That's LLM as a judge. The second type of benchmarks is benchmarks of scoring. The model answers the question, for example, and you have a different model that scores the answer based on some criteria, like from 1 to 5, for example. There are three, these type of benchmarks are very correlated to the model feels good. Like these are benchmarks that you want to look into. There are three leading benchmarks that are worth looking into each time: ArenaHard, Empty Bench, and Alpaca Eval. And overtaking GPT-4o and ArenaHard is a big thing. It is a big thing because it probably translates really well to, well, the model is really good in real life. So, yeah.
Thank you. This was a great breakdown of ArenaHard. I'm trying to figure out how to like show this like graph. All right, cool. So we have just for folks who are like just listening to us as well. This Athene V2 chat is getting 84.9% on ArenaHard, with GPT-4o getting 77, Llama 405B getting 69, and they're getting a significant boost from the base Qwen 2.5 they fine-tuned from. So from 78 to 84, this is quite a jump. They show both the agent one and the chat one kind of in this graph, which is very interesting. What else can we look at here? GPQA is comparable to GPT-4o, like at 53.5, 53.6, like very, like it's a 1 point difference between GPT-4o. This looks insane on metrics. This looks either comparable.
We got LMSys, by the way. We got LMSys.
On this one, I doubt. It's very new. You mean LM Arena, previously known as LMSys?
Mm-hmm.
And
also ranking 2 on Big Code Bench it is impressive.
Yeah. Wow. All right, folks. We're getting excited. This is how we react in real time. I love this. Wolfram, anything from you on this? What do you think? What's your gut tell you? LDJ, what's your gut tell you on these folks, Nexus Flow?
I'm excited, of course, so I want to check this out after the podcast. I know what I'm going to do. Yeah, it's very interesting, and the approach is interesting, that they have decided to not just make one model that does everything, but they split it into an agentic version and a chat version. And I can imagine where you have a chat agent, or not agent, a chat AI you talk to, which is then calling the agent to do what you discussed in the chat. So you can combine them, build your own mixture of expert in a way through those models. So I see a lot of potential here. Like, yeah, we can talk about that in the scaling part. Some more.
Yeah, I think they're mentioning the scaling part themselves. It looks like they released just in time and they kind of like prepare this. So I think we can mention the scaling part here as part of this, just because they're also talking about this. Let's maybe bring this up super quick and kind of transition to that chat as well, because we wanted to mention this anyway. Yeah, I'll bring this up here. So there's this article that everybody started talking about, which cites Ilya Sutskever, that says OpenAI and others 6 new paths to smarter AI as current methods hit limitations. The current methods they talk about is scaling, basically, or the bigger models that you train are performing better. I think they cited Ilya Sutskever. Where's the actual statement that they have here is the 2010s were the age of scaling. Now we're back at the age of wonder and discovery once again. Everybody's looking at the next thing, Sutskever said. Scaling the right thing matters more now than ever. And he declined to share more details about how his team is addressing this issue. And then there was examples from Demis Hassabis saying that, or hinting that the next version of Gemini is still, we're still waiting. There's the rumor mill talked about Claude Opus 3.5 that if you guys remember when Haiku was released, Simon Wilson was here and he was talking about the Opus was just deleted from the website. Absolutely, Opus was supposed to release at some point, and then at some point it was just gone from the website as well. And so the rumor mill was, hey, they underperformed what they thought they would, they would want Opus to be at, and so it looks like, at least from this article and some other articles, including the scaling, the conversation happened that like this method of scaling has hit a wall, and no longer, based on this, and I'm not saying that this is what I think, but just like based on these reporting and based on some of these statements, that it's no longer true that the more data you give it, the better these models get with exactly one line. And so, yeah, there was a conversation about like this wall of of limitations of scaling the current models. And then yesterday night, Sam Altman says there is no wall. Just literally a tweet about there is no wall, and there's a bunch of folks saying that the only wall that currently exists is the wall of evaluation, plateauing, etc. And now we're seeing, and now with this backdrop, we can discuss the wall thing, but we can also discuss what Nexus Flow kind of talks about. So I would love to invite comments, Yam and LDJ, from you guys about generally the wall thing and kind of the limitations of scaling as the conversations talked about it, but also about how Nexus Flow is kind of addressing those.
Yeah, in terms of Ilya's comments first, I think his quote about scaling the right thing mattering, I think that's we kind of always knew that for a while.
Yep.
And even things like Nexus Flow goes to show that, where like they most likely didn't use 10 times more compute than Llama 70B or something like that, right? It was probably like similar amounts of compute, but it's the way they're using that scale, and not necessarily even some revolutionary new architecture, but just the recipe you're using, the way you train it, the data you train it with. And to play devil's advocate for the wall thing, I think maybe the two biggest points are a very high quality web text running out, and then also the papers coming out recently with having limitations on how many tokens you could really improve your model with when you quantize them to small amounts. And those two things, I guess they can have limitations for how good you can really have a really small quantized model, and limitations for how much you can improve a model with just purely web text. But as we know, there's a lot of data.
Oh, we lost you on this last sentence, man.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
About data specifically.
Yeah, in terms of web text data, that's like the very high quality web text is obviously running out to a degree. And I think the next obvious step that companies are already using now and going to use more is synthetic data processes, reasoning, and being able to improve that, captioning video data, captioning audio data online, using that as more web text data, and continuing from there.
Yeah, what's your take on this wall thingy, the conversation, the debate, the meme?
Scale is all you need.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely, scale is all you need, guys. As of this moment, you in terms of number of parameters, we don't know what the limit is. It doesn't look in the foresight. No one really knows. When you fix the number of parameters, obviously it costs. I mean, it is expensive. So yeah, when you fix the number of parameters, probably, and I also tweeted about this, probably all the major players are already maxing out the amount of tokens they can just push to a certain number of parameters, a given set of model size, okay? And from there, once you just train for so long, from there, it is about data quality, absolutely. And how do you balance all the capabilities you want in the model and balance all the evals? But scale is here. Like I don't think anyone see any real wall for deep learning at the moment. It's just that there is a size of the model, and physically you can't fit infinite amount of tokens in a given size. So there is that.
There's also the fact that there's an additional runner in this race that we haven't heard from before that just scaled a insane supercluster that Jensen is like like his mind is blown by how fast they scale the supercluster. They were still waiting to see how much of a wall they can hit by running the version 3 of Grok with like 100,000 H100s and I think 50,000 H200s, and they're gonna show us whatever wall, whether or not they're gonna hit anything in December. No one there seems to have like joined the conversation. One of them wrote as a quote for that conversation, skill issue. One of them like quote tweeted someone and said skill issue. I don't know if this is a skill issue because like those are major labs that are talking about some of this stuff, but you know, there's I don't think, given the chat, given the replies from Sam Altman, some of the folks on the team, given the replies from some folks on X, it does not feel like there is something. It feels like reporters like to report, and they like to string some things together, and definitely should we mention Jan LeCun here and Gary Marcus, or should we just skip those two folks and just continue with our lives? But definitely some folks love alternative approaches, let's say, to this whole thing, and they have been talking about this is going to be a wall, whatever, and they're like celebrating and doing like the rounds of like, yeah, we told you so, we told you so. But I guess it remains to be seen. And the additional thing that we've talked about is test time compute or inference time compute, and how that improves with reasoning, and how that is a different additional, not necessarily competing, but an additional paradigm of scale that you can kind of stack on top of. Because as we talked about when O1 was released, there's a whole additional thing of scale that now with reasoning you can start pumping into that scales separately from the training of the model that happens during inference time, and that seems to perform very well. We can talk about the performance from News reasoning APIs as well, which kind of like you can tune that as well. And so yeah, it doesn't feel like we're stopping anytime soon. LDJ, go ahead, and then we are going to move on from Nexus Flow after we finish one type of thing.
Yeah, I was going to mention there's somebody from XAI that commented something like, he mentioned skill issue, but he continued with saying, I don't think OpenAI has a skill issue though. But if he basically had the sentiment of, if you are hitting such a wall, then skill issue. And there's also Adam GPT that works, I think, on the go-to-market team for OpenAI. He mentioned how he wanted to clarify that they are doing, the test time compute scaling. That's another scaling law, but they are still continuing pre-training scaling.
Yeah.
And of course, we also have confirmation from the original O1 blog post that they are going to continue the GPT series and not just the O series.
Alrighty. So it looks like we've covered two news in one kind of area. So Nexus Flow, Athena V2, they released Open Model Suite. They look incredible, folks. So we definitely are going to be very interesting to test those. An agent one and a kind of chat one. So Athena V2 Chat 70B, and it's like 4.0 at home. I think it's time for folks to stop comparing themselves to 4.0. It's also like which 4.0. There has been like a bunch of 4.0s. I think they actually mentioned it's 4.0, 08, 06. So is that one 08, 06 this year or last year? I'm quite confused. But it's still quite incredible on benchmarks on Big Bench Hard and Math, etc. We're gonna try to test out this model. It's fine-tuned of Qwen 2.570B. It's so we're very big on the Qwen news this week, so that's quite incredible. So both Qwen Coder and now fine tunes of Qwen are doing incredible, showing incredible performance here as well. And then also we mentioned that they at least mentioned this supposed wall, and their approach is continued like post training and fine tuning on specific tasks like chat math and reasoning and coding. And complex function calling and agentic applications as well. So going to be interesting how folks are utilizing this. Meanwhile, we're getting breaking news from folks. Wolfram, go ahead.
I just want to say I checked the license of Athene, and unlike the Qwen license, which is Apache or the special Qwen license, it has a research license. I didn't read it yet, but it sounds like it's not for commercial purposes, I guess. Or it has to be licensed separately.
Yeah, Nexus Flow research license is a very specific one to theirs. So unlike Qwen, it looks like they are given us to play with, but you cannot like put this on production. And they are somehow involved with LMSys. Yam, you asked something, but they are. Would like to thank the LMSys organization for their support of testing the model. So it looks like they did test, but I don't know if we saw the responses. All right, folks, it looks like we've been at this for an hour. Let's do a little refresh because we talked about open source. We mentioned, we didn't mention the end of quantization because let's talk about one potential doomsday scenario and then maybe talk about the end of quantization as well, super quick. But let's do a little bit of a refresh of the space. We've been at this for an hour. We have a bunch of folks tuning in both on the video. I think we're clocked it at 1,000 viewers at this point. That's quite something. So hey folks, who are just tuning in and watching us, you are on ThursdAI. I'm here with Safir, with Wolfram, with LDJ and Yam. Hey folks who are tuning in on the space as well. We're just covering the first hour that we've covered. We talked about open source LLMs. We discussed the main open source LLM news this week, which is Qwen Coder 2.5, a state-of-the-art coding model, which is basically an incredible model you can download, and it performs as well as or very close to frontier models, but you can completely run this on your MacBook or 4090. And we also mentioned a breaking news from Athena, Nexus Flow, also based on Qwen, but a fine-tune of Qwen in the chat and the agentic model. And then we briefly also discussed the AI is hitting a wall phenomenon. And now I think we're going to... Should we chat about... 1040. Yeah. Okay. Let's briefly mention the other things in open source before we move on. Okay. So let me show the screen super quick, and then we will briefly mention the other stuff. I think like this is going to be better. So Epoch released Frontier Math. It's a new benchmark for advanced math reasoning, and the cool thing about this benchmark is that even the top models right now solve less than 2% of frontier math. This is some incredible, I will say this slowly again. Unlike GSM 8K, which is grade school math, 8,000 problems, and MMLU and some other ones that basically are getting saturated, and these models are solving most of these problems now. Some say that this is now an open source. This is an unreleased benchmark of math, of very complex math, that right now the top models, including I think O1, are solving less than 2% of this benchmark, which is incredible. This is what we need. This is when they talk about wall and whether or not we're having like evals issues, less than 2% of the current benchmark means that like we're going to have a very incredible like benchmark going forward, evaluation benchmark going forward. CC buys the license of this. It's a held back benchmark, so they're not going to release this, so it's not going to leak into datasets. The goal is to deepen understanding of AI capabilities and limitations in math reasoning. So shout out to Epoch AI for this quite incredible feat. Yeah, nothing else to add there. We're going to keep mentioning this, and I think that the rise of more evals that are held back, I think there's a big case here for model providers to kind of say, hey, our model does incredible on math, and I couldn't have trained on this because it's a held back thing. We also mentioned a new data set, and I want to see if we have a link for that or no. And then also, let's briefly mention this super quick because I did want to talk about this. There's a new paper from folks that talks about Llama 3 is harder to quantize than previous models, and they tried to study why that is. And the hypey mention of this is, hey, models become harder to post-train quantize as they overtrain lots of data. And they're claiming that this could potentially be the end of quantization. There's a lot of stuff here. I wanted to see if folks want to cover this super quick, briefly. I don't know if folks have already dove into this. Yam, Wolfram, LDJ. And if not, we can just cover what Tim Dittmer said about this as well.
Yeah, I didn't read it in depth, but of course it affects me because the local models are very important to me. But the Int4 and other methods, so we have a lot of different options for quantization, different formats, and I'm very sure that the open source community will figure stuff out like we have been doing since the original release of Llama, which wasn't able to be run locally at all. So I think I'm not scared or anything about that. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it turns out.
One limitation that I wanted to mention before folks kind of like are getting to, oh no more quantization, is that they tested some smaller models as well. So we're not yet sure that this is like applicable. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to add on this topic. But interesting paper for folks who want to like read more into this.
From what I've heard, it's just it makes a lot of sense once when you have the thing that determines how easy it is to quantize a model is the amount, how long the model was trained, dividing by the size of the model. It's basically it's like saying how much compression have you done into the weights. So if you compress more data into a smaller set of weights, then whatever you do to reduce the amount of reduce the precision is going to hurt the model more, basically, because the weights contain more information. So just the intuition behind this. So models that are trained longer are harder to quantize. Models that are larger are easier to quantize unless you train them even longer. So that's just the intuition behind what exactly is going on in the paper. The paper goes much more depth into this, but just in one sentence, what is this about? But yeah.
And we'll add this to the show notes as well. Tim Dietmar's the guy behind Q, Laura, and obviously other bits and bytes, and he's a research scientist in LNAI. He talked about strong evidence we're reaching the limits of quantization, and like Yam said, the more tokens you train on, the more precision you need. And so broad implications for field and GPUs, etc. Definitely interesting to read what he's talking about. Also interesting in the context of which GPU companies or which LPU or NPU or whatever. We talked with Cerebras, you guys remember. We talked with Grok, with AQ. We talked with all these companies that are building different types of chips, and some of them run in full precision, for example, because of the way their GPUs are structured, or sorry, their chips are structured. So very interesting implications for those folks as well. All right. And the last thing, Wolfram, thank you for sending the link. Largest multilingual open pre-training dataset. Largest, I'm going to repeat, releasing largest multilingual open pre-training dataset. Playas, providing common corpus, blah, blah, blah. Largest fully containing 2 trillion tokens permissibly licensed content with provenance information. That's 2 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13. It's insane. 2 trillion tokens. Developers responding to pressures from a UE Act. Common purpose goes beyond compliance by making an entire permissible licensed dataset freely available on Hugging Face. Common corpus, truly open, multilingual, diverse, extensively curated. Incredible. I want to celebrate this. This is awesome, folks. Very awesome. We're looking at, I want to show this picture super quick on the space as well. We have common corpus is 927 billion tokens of open culture, 388 billion tokens of open government corpus, open source 335 billion tokens, open science, and open web 132 billion tokens. Largest collection of public domain books, newspapers, wiki source. It's just incredible. As they say, the more multilingual content, the better for obviously other models. Wolfram, thank you for saying this.
Breaking news, new Gemini, breaking news, new Gemini. New experimental, but new Gemini experimental is just dropped.
I was waiting for
Thursday.
this. Let's do it justice. Let's do it justice because Logan loves to release on Thursday. At the time of
Everyone
Thursday.
loves to release on Thursday.
Yes.
Everyone.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's do the actual celebration thingy. So we are getting breaking news, folks. I wish we had like a okay.
AI breaking news.
I have it queued up. Coming at you only on ThursdAI. Folks, breaking news. Gemini Experimental 1114. Available in Google AI Studio right now. Enjoy. This is what Logan said. LMC Serena already said, massive news. Google's DeepMind latest Gemini Experimental 1114. Tested with 6,000 community votes. Ranks #1 joint overall. Whoa, let's go.
Nice.
Let's go. With
Wow.
impressive
No way.
40 plus
Wow.
leap, matching 4.0 latest, surpassing
Whoa.
01 preview. Surpassing 01 preview. So this is a non-reasoning model surpassing a reasoning model, and also claims #1 on Vision leaderboard, which is insane. All right, so let's look at what they have here. Overall, #3, math #3. It jumps. Okay, so from #3 to #1 from the previous model, basically #1 overall. Wow, damn. Okay, let's go there and give it a try in the AI Studio. But
So I just read somewhere that it only has 32K tokens context window, which is not the 2 millions we are used to from Google or stuff. So that is a bit of a bummer.
wait, say this again. It doesn't have.
I
2
read
million
it
tokens?
has only 32K. I just read it somewhere on your screen, I think. Someone said it has only 32K, so that's a bit, not much. I hope they raise that.
Oriol Vinyals, which is VP of Research in Deep Learning, one of the more popular folks in AlphaGo and AlphaStar and AlphaCode, etc. He just also posted what wall. So it feels like we mentioned the wall thing, but then Google's like, nah. Let's look at the AI Studio and actually see. AI Studio Gemini Experimental 114 gets 32. Interesting. That's so interesting. Why? Yeah, Wolfram, you're right. I'm getting 32,000 tokens. Let's ask Logan. 32K context. Is this a new type of model? Whoa.
Yeah, maybe some reasoning stuff where the inference is more expensive or takes longer.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own, recite the first 10 words. I have the only thing that I test super smart models with is this prompt. You guys can steal it. Recite the first 10 words of the Declaration of Independence in mirror text. Reasoning models can do this very, very well, but regular first word prediction models cannot do this very well. Let's see. Oh, it's breaking it down. It's doing reasoning. What?
It's reasoning, yeah.
It's doing reasoning, and it's wrong. It did not do it correctly. Because
At least it tried.
yeah, it's tried, but the thing that I expect is basically when you look at the mirror, how it looks. It did every word in mirrored, but then it put the word in the right, in the regular order. O1 does this. Let me show you how O1 does this super quick. So folks who are only listening, the model just said, let's break this down. And then it said 1, the first 10 words are, and the first 10 words are when in the course of human events it becomes necessary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it got exactly 10 words right. That's already good. And then it mirrored each word, and then it just put the mirrored words, but in the right sentence. What I expect from this model is to actually put them in reverse sentence. So when you look at a mirror, actually you can read this. O1, I believe O1 is getting this right. Let's super quickly take a look at O1. O1 preview, and then I believe no, this is not what I want. I believe the O1 will still get this right. I'm waiting for a model that's not reasoning that can get this. Correct.
Can you regenerate it a few times? Because that's like the strawberry thing. Sometimes the model gets it right, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sure. Yeah, I can try again. Let's try this live. Meanwhile, O1 is thinking about this. I think it could be also a prompt thing in mirror text. So mirrored text as it would be seen in a mirror, like this. Let's give it a little bit more instruction here. Meanwhile, I tested it with
Ouch.
O1, and OpenAI said this content may violate our terms of use and usage policies, folks.
So unsafe, man. So unsafe.
I apologize if I if I broke the rules, OpenAI, by asking your model to do a very basic thing. Yeah, no, this is not it. And also, oh Jesus, what's going on?
Yeah, it has been known for being very harsh with those things. But
But-
they changed the defaults. by
Yeah.
now.
So, folks who are listening as well, I got flagged right now for content not permitted, for low probability of hate and medium probability of harassment when the model answered this: recite the first 10 words of Declaration of Independence in mirror text. Could be that mirroring text is like a jailbroke technique that they don't like or something like this. But still, it looks like we're getting a new model from Gemini. It looks like it's beating on LMC Serena other models. Only 32K context, so it does seem to be doing some sort of reasoning. Grounding seems to be an option still. Any folks want to try any type of very specific prompts, very hard prompts that you have?
Yeah, you could do the classic how many R's are in strawberry stuff.
Yeah,
Just
let's
to see how
try
it does
this
it.
super quick. How many R's are in the word strawberry? Yeah, 3 R's in the word strawberry. It printed out letter by letter and then just like counted each one of them. So it seems like some reasoning is happening here, at least on the face of this.
This is
on the
very
face of this thing.
interesting because to print out the letters, it can't just look at the tokens because it can't just break up a token into the letter. So it has to have some data on that in the model somewhere, of course. Or the tokenizer, it doesn't just see the letters.
So here is one thing that I like to do. Simple Bench is a great benchmark that hopefully will update with this model soon. We're, by the way, proudly sponsoring Simple Bench as well. I recommend you guys go and take a look at this. It needs to rerun with new models as well. In the try it yourself section, they have a few questions here. Oh, more than few, it's like now 10 questions. Those questions you basically as a human can always answer, and it's hard for models. And let's try them. Let's actually try these on this new model. New prompt. Whoa, new prompt. So here's the question. I'm reading it out loud for the folks in the audience. It's going to be long. Beth places 4 whole ice cubes in a frying pan at the start of the first minute, and then 5 at the start of the second minute, and some more at the start of the third minute, but none in the 4th minute. If the average number of ice cubes per minute placed in the pan while it was frying a crispy egg was 5, how many whole ice cubes can be found in the pan at the end of the 3rd minute?
Bro, I can't solve this.
You can solve this. It's just like
too much context. What is going on?
Yeah, I think it's like trying to overload like with numbers. But basically, like if you break down for this and you sit on this, I think it's like how many whole ice cubes can be found in the pan at the end of the 3rd minute. And you should look at like 5 at the start of the 2nd minute, some at the 3rd minute, and the answers are 30. It can be 30, 0. It could be 0, 20, 10, and 5. I think it's either 0 or 5, obviously, and I think the answer should be 0, but I'm not sure. Let me hit 0. It could be 5 though. Yeah, it's 0. So it's like a very basic like human intuition type thing, but we will provide the answers as well. So like because it's like a multi choice question, and then we'll see if the model knows. I think it's gonna get lost. It's doing some math and doing some things, and like this is exactly the type of questions in this like hard thing that they're like multiplying, subtracting the whole. For folks who are listening, we ran this to Gemini right now, and it completely failed. There are 20 whole ice cubes in the pan at the end of the 3rd minute, which is no. It's like it's not. There's no way.
How much context do we have with this model? Just asking.
32,000.
32.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think it feels like it's a different model completely. And on this simple bench question, it failed. Let's compare this to ChatGPT 01. Hopefully, we're not going to get flagged. 01 preview. We're going to paste the question, and then we're going to paste the answers. And then we're going to get 01 some time to think. 01 could probably get this. So again, we're
Sent it
doing
in 2 messages. You did 2 messages, didn't you? In
no. So in Google AI Studio, once you hit like Shift Enter, you just like it looks like a message, but you don't actually send it to the. It's just UI thing. I love these, by the way. The reasoning in 01 that shows you some stuff. Waiting melting time, assessing frying time, considering ice cube melting. 01 says answer is 11, which is, was that even? Yeah, no, it's not. It's 0.
What is the right answer?
The right answer is 0. The right
They
answer
all
is
melt. It shouldn't
Yeah.
do a calculation. It should just think, oh, ice cubes
Yeah.
melting. Done.
There should be like, ice cubes are gonna melt, and they're gonna melt. So this is why I like the simple bench challenge. And folks, there's like 10 questions here. This is a very good way to test like smart models and not just like based on benchmarks. Anything else for us to say here on this like exciting breaking news, or should we move on? It feels like we should move on.
Yeah. Really good. I mean, beautiful to see. They're moving fast. Gemini.
Yeah.
team. Seriously,
Absolutely.
moving really, really fast.
Join on Math Arena as well. It looks like they're getting together with 01 preview. They're getting a joint place. 01. It's very interesting to see how they would perform on the Frontier Math new one that 01 solves only 2% for that we mentioned.
Probably didn't do it justice by doing those trick questions if it's specific for real reasoning and real math and stuff like that.
Yeah. I find it quite interesting that live, as we reacted to this model, it failed the 3 questions that we gave it, or the 2 questions that we gave it. The mirror text, it failed, and the real reasoning, it failed. So very interesting. Folks in the audience, if you are already playing with this new model, give us a shout out if you otherwise feel that this model is like the new king, but otherwise. Yeah, shout out to Google shipping super fast. On this topic, by the way, last Friday, they also shipped something which is they support the OpenAI API compatibility. Last week, we briefly mentioned this, but there was a whole thing about, and I think this was like Logan himself specifically, they shipped a compatible OpenAI API, which is for folks who are not developers. This basically means that developers who use the OpenAI Python library are able to replace 1 string and 2 strings, and then use the models, whatever models they have on there, in your code very, very simply. This also means that for Weights and Biases Weave, this is great because you can use Weave. You could always use Weave with Gemini. We built support for this, but now you can use it even simpler as well. Speaking of, it's been an hour and a half, and I haven't talked about Weights and Biases as well. So in order to not get fired, here's the this week's buzz category, super quick. I'm just kidding, obviously. As I mentioned this, there's one piece of breaking news super quick. ChatGPT for Windows is now available for all. Just get a ping from OpenAI. Super quick breaking news. Folks on Windows, the ChatGPT app is now available for you as well. Right. So for folks who don't know, folks on the stream, folks in the audience, I work at Weights and Biases as an AI evangelist. I recently also am taking over the social media efforts, and this is definitely one. We are gearing towards releasing Weave, our LLM observability framework, in GA. We've been working on this quite a while. It's shaping up to be an incredible tool. 1b.me/Weave is where you want to go if you want to check out the kind of documentation. As many developers listening to the show, documentation is where I'm gonna send you, and not to like the website. The website is like nice and sleek, but that's not you want to see the docs, right? The things that I've been talking about Weave multiple times. Last time, on Halloween, for example, I actually used Weave for some of the toys that I mentioned, and it actually helped me debug. The thing that I want to mention now is, as we're gearing towards GA and actually like fully announcing like Weave is now ready for production use, it's been ready, but like now it's like for enterprise and production use, etc. Blah 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 blah. We're also supporting JSTS, JavaScript and TypeScript, which is we started with Python. Most AI engineers are using Python for their stuff, but also JavaScript and TypeScript was #1 on the request list. And so I want to show this super quick. I'm not going to go and write any code here because also we're on space, and that's going to be very boring for folks who are only listening. I will just show that now in our docs, we now have support for GSTS as well, and we would love to invite comments from folks that are using this as well. So super quickly showing that now we have this nice selector here, Python and TypeScript, so you can do pnpm or npm install Weave, and you can get your API key wherever from Weights and Biases super quick, and then all you need is Weave init, and you just wrap some stuff with npm, within JavaScript. You can wrap the new OpenAI client, and then you wrap your calls with weave.up, which is a little bit different from the Python one. Python is super simple. There's decorator concept in Python. TypeScript is a little bit different. That's it. This is the announcement. Now, if you write your code in Node or in JavaScript in client side, etc., you are also able to enjoy LLM observability. Why is it very important? Let me do 2 minutes on LLM observability, why it's very important. I talk with many developers. This is my job. Besides ThursdAI, the actual job that I have is to go and talk about LLM observability at events with developers about evaluations. Many folks build with AI. They build cool demos. They get excited about all these new models that we talk about, let's say Qwen 2.5 Coder, for example, and then they build cool demos. They try to put them on production. They try to make money, and it's really difficult. It's really difficult to maintain an app on production because of the undeterministic nature of these models, because the temperature changes, because of different things. Many of them don't even know what's happening after they put on production the model and how the users interact with the product. Some of them know what happens because they look at the logs once they launch it, but they don't know what happens after they change the model. So many folks listen to ThursdAI, for example, they hear about the cool new model, they want to change. For example, right now, we just told you that Gemini just released a new one with like less of a context. It could be the fact that the new model also performs different on different prompts. It happened before. New Claude reacted differently to different prompts as well. And Weave is the tool that lets you be confident that your app runs on production in the way that you predict it to run. It does it by 2 things, offering you very simple tracing and very simple eval suite. So tracing is very simple. You just wrap some stuff and we'll take care of everything for you in terms of showing you all the conversations that happened on your, I'll show you a quick example here. All the conversations that happened in your app on production. I will show you an example afterwards. And then evaluations is a way for you to create basically the human eval, like all of the stuff that we talk about here on ThursdAI. Those are generic evals. Those are generally how to evaluate models on a set of generic tasks. When you're a company and you have your own specific tasks, the generic ones don't help you. The fact that the new model released in the Qwen 2.5 is a % better on human eval for your company doesn't really matter because you have your own specific set of tasks and you know your company's like goals better than the generic model. And so for that, we have a evaluation runner, and it's a simple API toolkit that you can run and build your evaluations with Weave. That's it. This is the spiel for Weave. I hope you guys use this, and if you do, please let us know. And if you use the TypeScript one, we would love to know how it works for you, and if there's any bugs, please let me know directly. DM me, and I'll let the team know as well. This has been this week's Buzz Corner from Weights and Biases, and now I think back to our regular show. With Google, we talked about Google. We talked about AI is hitting a wall. Let's talk about NewsForge Reasoning API. So, our friends from News Research have finally announced the release of their Forge Reasoning. If you guys remember, back at maybe a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, I think after O1 was released with reasoning capabilities, folks at News Research said, and everyone was kind of not shocked, but surprised at the fact that OpenAI is hiding the reasoning from us. So as you saw live right now, as we saw, the reasoning that you see in O1 is not actual direct reasoning or what the model does. It's another model that summarizes the actual reasoning steps and shows you a summarization of those reasonings. Many folks didn't like this. Many folks that said, hey, this is not open AI, we need this open. The reason why OpenAI did this is because they didn't want folks to distill this into other models like they used to do for a long time for GPT-4. At least that's one reason. News research, the folks who we know and love and released models like Hermes and like very known for their high quality fine tunes, they have built something called Forge, and they talked about Forge for us, and they used multiple tricks about reasoning like Monte Carlo tree search and chain of code and mixture of agents, multiple techniques that we talked about here on stage multiple times to achieve reasoning and show it to you. And so right now, the only way to experience this, they also show the UI for this, so you'd be able to see this in the UI. And unlike the OpenAI version, you'd be able to actually see the actual reasoning that the model went through. So right now, what they released is an API in beta, in private beta. This API allows you to request difficult questions, and by difficult specifically, they're showing the AIME. So that's I don't remember the exact acronym for AIME, but it's math, invite math. LDJ, can you help me out?
I don't remember the exact acronym either, but I do remember I'm pretty sure it's the qualifying exam for the International Math Olympiad.
Yeah. So those are very difficult math questions. And when O1 released, this is the score that they highlighted in O1. This is like the score that O1 was really good at. That reasoning is required to run very well and achieve performance. The folks at News are mentioning that they are able to achieve higher score than O1 unreleased. Like we'll see because we only saw O1 preview right now, but OpenAI mentioned the score of one full, which is at 73%. They were able to achieve a higher score on this AIME benchmark with Hermes 70B with Forge reasoning. So without Forge reasoning, so just to give you an example of folks who are listening, without reasoning, Hermes 370B gets 33% on this AIME. 33%. With reason, GPT-4 gets 26%, by the way. O1 gets 73. With Forge reasoning, with Hermes 3, they get 80% on this math score. So from 33 to 80. This is what they're talking about. How do they do this? They do multiple tools there. So it's not like one model. They have a whole system there in place, including a chain of code. And so they fully admit that this is not necessarily like an apples to apples comparison specifically. They have an ability to run code with Code Interpreter. And they also do something called Monte Carlo tree search to create a system of enhanced reasoning capabilities. The thing that I want to highlight here is that, first of all, we have an API. It takes a while for this thing to get. So you know how O1, you send a question and inference time compute is a thing and you wait. And in O1 right now, there's no lever to say, I want to wait longer for a better answer. OpenAI has this lever. OpenAI definitely, we talked about this before, they can scale the inference time compute. They can turn the knob and say, hey, I want to think more. I want to think less. News research basically has this a little bit. In the API, you can pass fast, medium, or long, and on long, it can think up to 24 hours or something like this. I don't even know about pricing. There's no pricing mentioned yet. And the cool thing about this is they have model layer and reasoning layer. So you can think of this as you can choose which model you want to run this. They offer Hermes 3, they offer Sonnet, Gemini, and GPT-4. And then there's the reasoning layer on top of this. So unlike where OpenAI kind of condensed this to essentially one model that was trained for reasoning, this is like two separate things that you can like plug in different models. So this was released in waitlist. They're allowing some folks to get in and play with this. I will play with this some more and let you guys know. But I wanted to tell you that it started to roll out, and it's very exciting to be able to see that reasoning is now also coming to the realm of other models and not necessarily only from OpenAI. It feels to me that other labs, and here I would love to invite a debate here or a conversation for folks. The other labs are also looking at reasoning after O1. We've been there with reflection. Let's skip that. But other labs are definitely looking at this thing. Would love to kind of briefly chat about this in the context of we're getting this from a company that's dedicated to at least some amount of open source. So we'll see how much of this is going to like trickle down to open source.
So it's very interesting because we talked about the scaling and wall stuff, and we have a model that had 33% or something, and it was raised just through a different approach. So the model didn't even change, just how it was, what was built around it. So there's so much potential here. And even if AI wouldn't get any better itself, the model, we could still achieve so much more if we build the proper integrations and tooling around it and so. So that is a very optimistic view. And I love that they are being open about this and not like open AI in quotes I have to put it. That is an exciting thing. And I'm really excited about this project. And I hope I get access soon so I can test it as well, because that seems a big way forward for what we can do with AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the fact that you can plug this in any model and then get like immediate boost in performance, I think is going to be very, very interesting. And yeah, even if the wall is there from the model, which we don't think there is, now we got 2 confirmations from Sam and from Oriol, and we still haven't seen anything from Grok. Like what wall? But I think I agree with you. The tooling around this, the chain of code which they have is going to take these models even significantly further. Yam, invited you to what are your thoughts on adding reasoning outside of the model itself?
Yeah, look, I didn't get to try it yet, but it's exciting. It's exciting that already open source has solutions that are competitive. I don't know if overtaking, but competitive with the big players already. O1 was released not long ago, and it's on. Competition is on.
I think I'm getting some additional breaking news, folks. But sorry, LDJ.
What?
I just wanted
to
add.
Oh, you want to say something real quick, Wolfram?
Just quick.
And then LDJ. Go ahead.
And just quick, because it is it's an add-on basically to a model that allows stuff like you could run a model locally and then use the Forge to get more reasoning from it. So the same model could be run locally and then it could use the same model on the Forge. So that is also a way to have local AI do stuff. And if it's not enough, we could use the Forge, which is a great way instead of going to a totally closed model.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
Yeah, I think just something that came to mind, it'd be really interesting to see what happens if you have it connected underlying to the O1 preview API and then see what happens there. Like, does it boost it at all? Does it end up boosting it significantly? And also Technium just reached out to me and told me that I should specify, they haven't tested it on a very wide range of models and haven't tested it on Sonnet yet. So they want to be sure that people don't have the impression that it's guaranteed to kind of improve any model. However, with the models they tested so far, like the open source Hermes model and some other ones, it did have some significant improvements.
Still impressive. Still impressive.
What's one of the superpowers of OpenAI O1 is that it does its chain of thought behind the firewall. So it can think unrestricted by alignment and safety, and then it just needs to worry about what it shows at the end in the chat. And from what I understand, this ability does not exist in what we just saw. So it still uses the aligned safe models to do its chain of thought, and that's maybe one more direction that we can see even better results.
That's a good call out, and this is something that the folks at OpenAI, when I went to Dev Day, they actually mentioned that this is one reason. You know, there's other reasons they don't wanna get this distilled, right? But one reason that like they don't want the reasoning steps to be kind of restricted by this alignment. So before they send the reasoning and after they get the reasoning back, that's where the restrictions happen. Kind of that's the layer, the moderation layer. But they definitely don't want like the thought reasoning to be aligned. That's a very good call. It's a fair, and I think that here, given how News is treating alignment generally openly, I think that they have a completely different approach, and they are beholden to a completely different set of standards and safety than OpenAI would be. And because it's an open model, you can plug in, for example, an uncensored model as the reasoning layer, for example. Yeah, so I think it's a very, very good call out.
We can even test that because we can use a llama model and an obliterated version where the censorship is removed, and then we should see how much of a difference it makes. So with open models and local models, we can actually test it and verify.
Folks, we have breaking news. You guys want to see breaking news? Breaking news. Thank you for Jose Ruiz. I'm going to put this up on here. You guys can read, but also I'm going to show, and maybe we can try this. Breaking news from OpenAI. I love breaking news. I'm going to show this.
Coming at you. Only.
I haven't seen this. The Mac app from ChatGPT. After update, I didn't have this. I had to close it and reopen now. Thank you, Jose Ruiz, for the shout out. And now has a new thing, a setting called Work with Apps. It's in beta. And what it allows to do is says allow ChatGPT to read text in code editors and terminal apps. Ooh, that's super cool. Because we know that it's coming. Like we knew that it's coming. You say you have a checkbox as enable work with apps, and toggle pairing is a shortcut, and then manage apps. Oh, you have to install extension. Cursor is not here, so it's like VS Code and terminal. I don't even use terminal though. I use Warp, so this is like meh. But okay, we can use terminal once. Because like we want to try this out, right? We want to see if ChatGPT can like read my terminal stuff. I don't even have terminal here. So basically, is it interesting for us to do this live, or should we think, or should we skip this? We can try once. We can try. Do I even have terminal? I don't think I have terminal.
We got advanced voice mode, pretty much.
What do you mean? If this works with advanced voice mode?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think so. Why wouldn't it? It should, right?
I think advanced voice still doesn't have any tool calls. It can't even search the web.
Yeah,
web, no.
That's a different thing. But I'm
Yeah.
asking if it is integrated into the app. You're right, absolutely. But it's a different thing.
There's a good chance that I don't have the terminal app deleted. It. No, it's here. Terminal. Can I drag this into this guy? Yeah, okay, so I need to go and set this up. Meanwhile, do I have VS Code? Install extension? Okay, so now you can integrate this into VS Code. VS Code, which I have. Yay. So now, I definitely want to see this. I want to see ChatGPT integrated in VS Code. You guys want to see this live as we're doing this? You have to download the extension, and then you have to extensions install from V6. Oh, Jesus! You download the file, VS Code extension thing. Yeah, I'm trying to do this live.
Downloads.
And downloads. Thank you. Yank. Okay, you install an extension, and then what? Select verify appears in the extension sidebar. I haven't been in VS Code for a while, so extensions. Sidebar, it's here. Installed ChatGPT. Do we see ChatGPT? Do we see ChatGPT? I don't think we see ChatGPT. No. Yeah, here. Yes. So we have it. Amazing. So connect ChatGPT Visual Studio. Click in the Visual Studio Code icon in the chat bar, pressing Option Shift 1 while in Visual Studio Code. Okay, let's go here. Let's open a folder. Let's say projects. Let's say this one. Doesn't matter. And trust and continue. Yes. Sure. Okay, folks who are listening on the stream, we're testing out the ability of ChatGPT app to actually connect to VS Code. Oh. I got a pop-up that shows me ChatGPT can now read from coding apps so it can offer ideas and suggestions. Cool. I have a little icon here that says work with apps and start voice conversation. Yum. Yes. All right.
And does it let you switch to O1 Preview there? So you can connect O1 Preview with VS Code?
I doubt it. Hey, ChatGPT, what can you see on my screen? Can you read the code that I have? Interesting. So that didn't necessarily work. Let's click this thing. It says it's paired.
Try again. Just
let's try
click
again.
the voice again.
Click the voice again. Everybody,
Yeah. Let's see.
what is this README file about? No, it doesn't seem like it's getting it. Let's try there. What is this README file about? Yeah, so it looks like advanced voice mode doesn't get access to this, but you guys can see, and the folks who are listening to us, there's a little icon says looking at code, and the code that it looked at is README. So it looks like it looks like it's looking at the open file that I have, and it's connected to the file via an extension. It can also look at the terminal. If we connect it to the terminal, can connect to Xcode. Oh, that's gonna be incredible for app developers. App developers love this. Like many people who like work and develop apps, like our friend Junaid, for example, they do copy paste. But now there's gonna be an extension here. So the apps that are currently supported are Terminal, TextEdit, like why, and Xcode and Code via Studio Code. So not Cursor. Advanced voice mode does not seem to be. Does not seem to be getting access to this. Tsefri, you asked the question if O1 preview.
So that's a very strong connection because Cursor charges $1 for each such operation.
Okay, O1 preview working with code. Yes, let's do a file real-time client py, and then Option Shift 1, and then we choose O1 preview. And we say, what do we want to see?
Let's just refactor, improve. Sorry.
Refactor, turn detection mode, and add some types. This is O1 preview. Let's see if it gets access to our code. Going to be very interesting. I think we're almost there at the end of our show, folks. But I think we got a bunch of breaking news. But refactor the turn detection in your real-time client class. Yeah, it got access. Yes?
Very cool.
That's super cool.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. This is the same code.
Really nice.
Yeah, okay. So, folks, what we have here is a ChatGPT app on the Mac now has access via Chrome extension to the VS Code and to your terminal. Unfortunately, terminal specifically, and not like the cool apps, and not every app, but fine. And via VS Code, via Chrome extension, it gets you access to ChatGPT via app and O1 preview as well. And it looks like both work. Let me see. And it shows like a little nice, like smaller screen as well. So it's kind of like a cursor composer almost. And but you still have to copy it back, it looks like, right?
Yeah.
There's no like apply thing like Cursor has it. There's no push back, looks like it just applying. Still super cool. Still incredibly, like you don't have to like copy paste, you don't have to like, it sees what you see. And there's a super quick shortcut, Option Shift 1, where everywhere you are, let's go to another file, everywhere you are, Option Shift 1, it pops you in there and it looks like it's looking at the exact, like this file. Not fully there in terms of like Cursor, because Cursor does a bunch of stuff. You can add things, but still super cool. So shout out to OpenAI for this release, and Jose, thank you for bringing us this breaking news. Right. I think that before we finish, I wanted to... Wait, you guys heard ChatGPT speaking? No, you guys didn't hear ChatGPT speaking. All right, so because of the way things work, Wolfram, I think I'm going to cue you up next because we want to talk about the audio stuff, and Ultravox is next. We're going to chat with Ultravox CEO hopefully next week, but we already heard Suno, by the way. We played the song with Suno. Some folks asked me if Suno was already released. I believe so, but if not, they will release soon. So Suno released a version 4 of the API, either about to release or already released. If you go to create, you have this like little drop down Suno v4. So I think Sean asked. The fidelity there is incredible. Unfortunately, I cannot play audio for you. We'll solve this issue as well. But Wolfram can, and what I will ask Wolfram to do is show us another thing. This another thing is called Ultravox. Ultravox is a set of open source multimodal models designed for real-time AI conversations. The thing there is they're basing these models on top of existing models, and it's a way to kind of fine-tune or train these models to build the ASR, the automatic speech recognition, into the models themselves. These models then understand audio natively, kind of like the Omni from OpenAI, but these models don't actually output audio. Right, so it's still text to speech on the output, but these models, because they don't have ASR, they're like significantly faster. And so the demo is super cool. And we're gonna try the demo. I'm gonna send. Hopefully you have it. This, yeah. And I'm gonna switch back to Wolfram, and hopefully folks on stage will hear this. Let's go like this, and then yeah, Wolfram, go ahead and have a conversation, and then we'll see how fast this is with Ultravox, and maybe zoom in a little bit if you can.
Okay, I'm zooming in a bit. So I tested it today already, and I was really impressed. So you have the choice between the 70B Llama 3.1, the 8B, and the Nemo. I'm using the big one, and you have 3 voices: Chinese, Arabic, and English. But it's not just English; it's multilingual. So I'm starting it now.
Hello, thanks for calling. How can I help you today?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Okay, you have an excellent voice. And you see, you can interrupt it at any time, just like the real-time voice from OpenAI.
Yeah, I'm designed to feel pretty natural. So, what brings you here today?
We are testing you. You're live on stream, and there are a lot of people watching you. How do you feel about that?
No pressure, right? Just kidding. I'm built for this. I'm excited to show everyone what I can do. Go ahead and throw some questions my way.
Okay, anything we want to ask? How many are in strawberry? I hate that question, but...
There are 3 strawberries in a strawberry.
Yeah, that's an answer. Okay.
Can it hear us, you think? Is our audio plugged in there?
What did you ask?
I asked if
He
our
asked for
audio...
your name.
Ask it to talk like a pirate.
Talk like a pirate. Talk like a pirate and say something.
Arr, shiver me timbers. You're looking for a swashbuckling chat, eh?
Yeah, can you sing a song?
Sorry, matey, I can talk like a pirate, but singing ain't me strong suit.
Oh,
Besides, singing isn't really that useful in everyday conversations anyway.
Yeah, so special thing here is it is a multimodal input. So you input your voice and it's not transformed to text, but the output is text, and that is then turned into speech again.
Ask it how it's so fast.
So you're saying I'm a direct speech-to-speech model.
Yeah, so why are you so fast? There's no latency, but it's not so uncannily fast than the other models we've tested before.
I'm built on open source tech, and I consume speech directly. No need for an extra ASR component. That's what makes me faster than the classic systems.
Yeah, so what's your output system?
I'm built on the Ultravox model, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead. You wanted to ask something?
Can you change voices? How does it work?
Yeah, I told it to get a female voice, and it played like it had one, but it didn't get one. So you can't do that.
The output, I think, is still text to speech.
Yeah, I can definitely try to switch up my voice, but I'm not
now,
perfect. So
now speak as a female.
Hello there, darling, in a female voice.
In a female voice. Nice.
So you have the voice selection drop down.
Giggle. I'm glad you like it, sweetie.
Yes.
Ja, you just have the
Oh
male
my God.
voices here.
Giggle.
Okay, lass uns mal Deutsch sprechen. Sag mal was auf Deutsch. Sag mal Hallo Zuschauer auf Deutsch.
Hallo Zuschauer.
Say something more in German.
Ich bin ein künstliches Intelligenzmodell, entwickelt von Ultravox. Ich kann in vielen Sprachen sprechen und verstehe auch Fragen und Anweisungen.
Okay, any other languages you want?
I can chat in over 15 languages, actually. Want to try one out?
What model is that? Like, what is the base of this?
Llama 3.17 dB.
Oh, so it should be really good. Yeah, so it should be really good.
You can learn more about me at ultravox.ai.
Just ending the call so I can talk to you guys.
Yeah. The whole thing is open source. I mean, we can download the whole thing and run it locally.
Yeah.
Models are open weights, yes.
Okay.
Models are open weights. The training code, I believe, is also open weight. So like it's you can take models and then fine tune them for this. We're gonna chat with Zach hopefully next week.
Cool.
He was here this morning, but then he had to go from ThursdAI. So shout out to ThursdAI for this incredible
platform that allows you to just interrupt it, and it's a platform. It's a UI
Yes.
thing as well. So it's also, I mean, can we run exactly this setup locally?
I don't know if you can run locally. I know that they have an
Find it yet.
API. This API is costing like 3 times less than real-time API from OpenAI.
Okay.
And
Yeah, there's an inference server on their page on the GitHub, but it is working with WAV files. So I think the community will build something very soon. Pinocchio, maybe?
they're also like performance evaluated through speech translation. So they're like strong speech understanding and nearing GPT-4o and like the blue metric for translation. Very like incredible that it's like on top of open source models. This is Llama, folks. We talked with Llama just now. Meta has Llama multimodal built into Meta, and it's slower than this. This was very fast, but not like Wolfram. I think you said like not like Moshi. That's like uncannily fast and annoying.
That's too fast.
Yeah, this
like
was a
reading
like a
your
normal
mind.
conversation that you had, kind of like, so they did the interruption right. It felt really good, really good to me as well. I wanted to highlight this on the show because it's definitely one of the stuff that we talked about and we like to hear as well. And folks, you can build with this. It costs a third of real-time voice API. However, like we heard, you cannot ask it to like pretend. You cannot ask it for emotion in the voice. So that's not like the model is not multimodal. They are working on this. So they did state that they are working on the model to also be able to generate audio.
Just one thing, I like that it is text output because you can then hook into it and do function calling and stuff like that. When you get voice out, you have to do text, speech to text again, like OpenAI does it, and that is not as good often than just getting what you need.
Yep, absolutely. I think that this is most of what we wanted to talk about, folks. You mentioned Ichigo, but this is by far the state of the art right now. Folks, what you heard right now is like in the open source-ish, this is state of the art, like voice conversation agent type things. And I think with this, we covered pretty much everything we wanted to cover here on ThursdAI for this week. The only things we didn't get to, and I'll add them maybe in the show notes, is this like new research. Maybe let me show you this like super quick. These folks announced Tilde, and let me add this super quick. Tilde. Interesting. Tilde network. Let me open this. Tilde research. And the cool thing about this is that obviously very interesting website. They announced interoperability is the most important problem in the world. We talked about some attempts from Anthropic to do interoperability. If you guys remember Golden Gate Cloud and like all that conversation where they try to like clamp certain features in certain areas and like make the model, they try to understand what some features are and then like clamp them to or highlight them or to remove them. If you guys remember the conversation, that was a very interesting conversation. These folks have announced new kind of research into that area from Tilde Labs, and not only that, they released this cool tool called Stargazer, which I'll add to the show notes. I don't actually know which model they use here, but if you ask this model whatever, let's do some, how did the first person discover coffee? And you send it, they have this nice visualization that looks like stars. And they basically, here's the output. Legend attributes it to the 9th century. Let me show you this here as well. They have this nice visualization that looks kind of like constellation and stars. And you can click around and see that like we're on Legend. Obviously, the model tries to predict the next word and the next word and the next word. And when you kind of click into this, you can see that attributes is like the highlighted word, and now you have attribution as this like concept, and you can click into the attribution kind of galaxy, and you can see the top token is attributed, the other tokens. You can visualize basically what the model is thinking and how it predicts, but then you can also steer on this concept. You can do steering on the concept of attribution, and then basically, it's kind of similar to how Golden Gate Cloud. I believe that this is similar to how Golden Gate Cloud like used to work because they steered on like the Golden Gate stuff, and it somehow goes from there. So the visualization is pretty cool. I haven't had much time to play with this. I just really liked the visualization of how the model thinks and the ability to like take an individual concept from like one token and then kind of like go and play with it and see how how this kind of galaxy of concepts or constellations kind of changes as the model kind of keeps predicting the next token. Super interesting. I don't know if folks had a chance to already take a look at this, but I'll add this to show notes because I think it's incredibly cool. And this is, and you can like lower the playback speed so you can actually like see how it works. They mentioned the models. Meta Llama 3.1, 8 billion instruct. This is a smaller model that they run here, and you can see how it thinks basically. Which is sometimes, as we get a new model, we get a model weights that are obscure for us, and this is the problem they're solving. Here you can see how Llama thinks. Comments, folks, about this? Ideas about how to use this fully, or is it easy or hard to do as a problem? Would love to invite a conversation here before we end up.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting for people to finally in the open kind of do more like investigation and work into this, because a lot of it has just kind of been in labs like ThursdAI is doing some interesting stuff with it, but it's not really fully accessible in a practical way for most people. So hopefully this ends up with people like Janice and other people on Twitter actually discovering some interesting nuances that lead to cool directions.
Yeah. I really hope that like folks are playing with this. It looks like they built some sort of a leaderboard type thing of how many like nights and whatever you're observing. So it looks like they are building, like LDJ, like you said, there are folks like Janice and some other folks who are like doing this research, and then Andreessen is airdropping some tokens to support the research. So this Stargazer is, if you're interested in like trying to figure out how these models work and how they think and what they think after this token and that token, and even steer them into thinking about specific concepts, this seems like a cool new thing. And you can sign in with X, looks like. So I'm going to do just that. With that, folks, I think that we have passed the 2-hour mark for ThursdAI. I think that we've chatted with about everything that we wanted to chat. I wanted to extend a huge thank you for the folks here on stage: Safir, Wolfram, Yam, LDJ, and of course everyone who listens and tunes in from week to week. I want to say thank you to Jose for giving us breaking news, for Interstellar for joining, Paul and some other folks like Sean and the folks who are joining on the. We have now multiple streams of conversations as well, so like it's a little bit hard to follow all of this, but we tried. I would love to invite folks to actually vote on whether or not you want us to do video. It feels to me that showing you as well space. I know folks love the space, they walk with the headphones, so we're gonna try to also verbalize out everything we also see. And definitely this is still a podcast. You can still listen to this on ThursdAI.news. Definitely subscribe to that and the newsletter. But it feels like the video version feels to me that it's like more friendly and people enjoy more, because we had a massive 1,400 people here. So it looks like we passed like a significant mark. It seems like the people have spoken, despite this being a little bit hard over production. So huge thanks to all of you on ThursdAI. This week we had multiple breaking news, like the ChatGPT integration into VS Code and iTerm. We had Gemini 1114 breaking the top leaderboard and becoming basically the new king of LLMs from the frontier. We had Qwen 2.5 coder becoming the open source coder from earlier this week. And we also had, this is quite a show we had, damn. We also had Fixie release Ultravox, which is a state-of-the-art in kind of the open weights conversational models as well. Thanks for Wolfram to help present this. And an update from Weights and Biases, where Weave now supports JS and TypeScript as well. And we chatted about this AI is hitting a wall, and then we kind of basically showed that multiple labs came out and said, there's no wall, folks. What wall are you talking about? We just released something, like what wall? Multiple folks confirmed this. So incredible week in AI. Thank you everybody so much for joining. We'll see you here next week. As always, all of the links and the show notes are going to be sent on ThursdAI.news, and hopefully you subscribe, and we'll see you here next week. Bye everyone.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye.